What's up, guys? In today's video we are doing another fire breakdown. This one is of a house fire that ended up turning into a Mayday call. I picked this video for a few reasons. Number one, it shows some of the issues that smaller departments, even career suburban departments and volunteer departments deal with that a lot of larger cities and large departments with a ton of resources available don't necessarily have to deal with as much. Number two, they call a Mayday. God forbid you're ever in a situation where you need to call a Mayday, but if you are, there's certain things you want to keep in mind, certain things you certainly want to do. And then there's some things that happen in this video that I want to point out, just pointers for you to keep in mind, things that you don't want to do so that you don't find yourself in the situation that these guys found themselves in. Now, this video is actually taken from a helmet cam, so there are times where it's hard to hear and it's hard to see exactly what's going on. I'll try and stop it and explain what's going on in those particular places, but otherwise, let's get started.
Everyone is out of the house. We work at WT 47 and he will be the event group supervisor. Frank Benja 43 is on the team.
So right here is a pretty good view of the front of the house. Now, if you see on the left-hand side, you can see that's the front door to the house, and it looks like the fire is pretty much contained all on the right side of the house, the delta side, the D side. If you haven't heard me talk about this in other videos, in fireground language, the A side is the front of the house facing the street, the B side is the left side, C side is back side, D side is right side. That's just, you'll hear that commonly. So right now we're standing on the A or the alpha side. They will enter through the front door, which is the appropriate thing to do. But from what we can tell, and it's really quick, and I wanted to stop it here just so you knew, to look for this. Most of the fire looks like it's, or the entirety of the fire looks like it's all on the delta side.
Sir, what's up? Hold on, back it up. Oh, you're good, you're good. I want to go a little bit before I run. Nice and slow, DJ, come right here. I know, I'm trying to get out in my house here.
So here's something I want to point out. I've talked about this a lot on this channel. Television and movies don't do real firefighting any favors. Notice all of this fire is up on the second floor on the delta side. They're in the main room of the house. You don't see any smoke anywhere. Its visibility is great. It's clear. You saw them just look down in the basement. All of that looks good. That's obviously very realistic of what it's like. When there's a fire in one area of the house, there's going to be a lot of areas that you can walk around and stuff like that. Now, obviously, when you're in fire school, they're going to teach you to stay low, but you don't need to start crawling into a house right off the bat. I've seen some newer firefighters do that just because that's what they're taught and they just think that, but these guys are doing a good job as soon as they get in there to see where exactly has this fire spread to in here. And as far as you can tell, it's only upstairs in the second floor. Let's keep going. So here's the next thing I want to point out. Right now, you see them fighting the fire. They have a good idea of where it is. They're getting a knock on it, and so that's good. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the guy wearing the helmet cam. There are 6 guys all standing right there, including one you can see right there. That's a white helmet. White helmets, if you don't know, mean that that's a chief. The chief should be the one running the scene. He should be the one standing outside, calling the shots, coordinating mutual aid, getting dispatched to call the utility companies and shut down the power, shut off the gas, things like that. He needs to be the one outside running this fire. Typically, now obviously I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure. Maybe there was another company that had a chief. Maybe he's from a different town or a neighboring town. I don't know. The description was pretty vague as far as how many units were there and when they arrived. But that is a lot of people standing on one hose line. And that's one of the things I'll point out later. If you have 5 or 6 people at a fire and you're the only company, don't put them all on one hand line. Usually hand lines in an interior tack have 2 people on them. The guy on the tip or the nozzle, and then the person backing them up. Sometimes if you have a really long pole, you'll have a third guy that'll go back and forth, making sure the hose doesn't get bound up on corners going around. But that's a lot of people to be standing on one hand line. So keep that in mind going forward. So again, I want to reiterate this. You see 5 or 6 guys all standing on one stairwell and all in one tight hallway. That is not good. You'll hear them here in a second call for a second hand line. Whoever that chief was should have had another second hand line going, or looking to come around the other side, or had people doing something else other than putting all of your resources on one hand line and one stairwell and one tiny hallway. That is not good. That is actually pretty dangerous, and you'll see here in a minute why that's the case. So you just heard this firefighter in front of the guy with the camera call out something really important. I want to draw attention to it as well. There's another 2, maybe 3 people in front of this firefighter. I think only 2. So the guy on the tip is pretty far ahead of where the guy with the camera that you can see. The guy in front of the camera just said, hey, it's getting behind us. You never, ever, ever, ever want to be in a fire where it goes over your head and then ends up getting behind you. If you find yourself in that situation, you need to get out of there as fast as you can. So the rule here is when you're in a fire, they teach you to stay low and crawl, but also look up. If you can see flames starting to roll behind you, if you start to see flames on the ceiling, things starting to flash, the first thing you should do is lay on the ground and hit the ceiling with that nozzle. You need to cool that down as quick as you can. But do not, if you can, ever, ever, ever let a fire get in behind you. You do not want to get overwhelmed. So at this point, they still haven't put out the fire that's above their head. And this is really important. This is such a dangerous situation because from the viewpoint of the one guy with the helmet cam on right now, there's still 3 people in front of him. And I think he'll turn around and you'll see 1 or 2 people more behind him. There are so many people on this hand line with fire over top of them. That is a very bad situation. You want to get out of there as fast as you can. Remember, your hose line works as a sword and as a shield. A sword in the sense of you spray water on the fire to attack the fire and put it out, but it also cools things down behind that. Please, 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 if you find yourself in a situation where you see flames over your head, hit that. If you can't put it out, back out and then try again. All right, so at this point, if you couldn't tell already, these guys are getting overwhelmed. Again, there's 2 or 3 people in front of the guy wearing the camera right now, and every which way this guy, 3 people back with the camera on his helmet looks, he is surrounded by fire. Bad situation. Again, if you ever find yourself in this situation, it's time to back out and then try again, or back out and then fight it from the outside. Obviously, you're going to be working that out with command, but you as a firefighter need to be aware of situations like this and know when it's time to leave. Okay, so in case you couldn't hear it because some of the sound is muffled, this guy just called a mayday. What ended up happening, according to the description, was whoever the guy that was on the tip fell through the floor, and ultimately he ended up being okay. It sounds like he got some burns around where the top of his boot is, but they pulled him out, dragged him out to safety. Now, when this guy called a mayday, he did the right thing by saying mayday, mayday, mayday. And when you're in fire school, they'll teach you exactly how to call a mayday. You call mayday, mayday, mayday. But then he just left it there. That's a big problem because that's not very helpful to command. When you are in a situation where you call a mayday, whoever's in command of that fire should be starting to put resources to go find you, to go help you, to do whatever they need to get you out of the situation that you're in. So if you're ever in the situation where you need to call a mayday, you need to remember the acronym LUNAR, L-U-N-A-R. It stands for location, unit, name, assignment, and air, and resources. So location, you should know or at least have an idea of where you are in a building. If you don't have an idea, because this happens from time to time, if you're totally disoriented and lost, you need to say that you don't know where you are lost. So L, location. Unit, you need to say I'm on engine 5, I'm on ladder 22, or I'm on tower 1. Whatever unit you were assigned to originally when you went into this fire, you need to name that, because the people at command will, or at least they should know, where the different units are and what tasks they were assigned to do. So we got location, unit, name. Say your name. They need to know which one of the people, maybe it's a 3-person crew, maybe it's a 4-person crew, a 5-person crew. They need to know exactly who's missing so that they can match that up with the identification tags that they should have at command. L-U-N-A, assignment. They need to know what you were assigned to do. If you were assigned to attack the fire on the 2nd Division with a hand line, or they need to know how much air you have left. If you have 50% air, if you have 25% air, they need to know that, so they need to know how quickly they can get moving. And then R, resources. If you know that you're trapped and all you need is a pry bar, or maybe you need a second hand line or something like that, just say what resources you need. Now, obviously, you're not going to always know what resources you need, because if you're calling a mayday, chances are you are just trying to get out of there as quickly as you can, and that's okay. But just try and remember that acronym LUNAR. The more information you can relay to command, the more information you can relay to the RIT team, the better chances they will have at finding you and rescuing you and getting you out of there. So this is just a matter of personal opinion. I'm sure there's going to be people that jump in the comments and disagree with me. But in this instance, when they had to call a mayday and get a guy out of there because he already fell through the floor, in my opinion, it's not a great idea to then run up there and grab the nozzle and keep going. Get out of there. The whole point of a mayday is there's someone down and we need to get out. At this point, in my opinion, and again, I wasn't there, if the situation is bad enough where you're overwhelmed and you're calling a mayday, get out. At this point, they already knew that there were no occupants in the building anymore. It's not worth it. It's not worth you falling through the floor. It's not worth you running into a situation that you can't get back out of, and then try to fight the fire exteriorly, or at least, if nothing else, regroup and come up with a new way to go and attack this fire if you're going to stay interior. At this point, it doesn't make any sense to me to keep doing that. Again, I'm sure there's people that are going to disagree with me on that, and if you do, by all means, tell me what you think you should have done or you would have done in the comments below. So that's pretty much it for the purposes of this video. Again, I wanted to reiterate a few things. Number one, if you are in your fire, I know they're going to teach you in fire school to crawl and stay low and smoke, but also make sure that you look up. You never, ever, ever want to find yourself in a situation where the fire is in behind you and now you are trapped in and overwhelmed. Number two, you don't need 5-6 people on a hand line. You need 2, maybe 3 at the most. In this situation, it probably should have only been 2. But again, you know, things happen, and this is what this is meant to do, for people to learn from it. And number 3, if you, God forbid, ever find yourself in a situation where you have to call a mayday, don't just say mayday on the radio. Try and give as much information to command or whoever else is around as possible to get the RIT team deployed to get you out of there as fast as they can. As always, I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.